Hello and welcome to Sig Mechanics. This shortcuts video will demonstrate a method of testing to see if your P320's striker safety was affected after installing a new part or attempting a modification. The concept behind the striker safety's operation is simple. If you look at the SCU, you will see a safety lever that will rise and fall relative to the operator's trigger pull. The striker itself has a lock lever that, when it's in the up position, will disengage the internal safety. When the gun is in battery, these two systems will interact, and if the trigger is pulled, the safety lever moves up and engages the lock lever to also move up with it. This disengages the internal safety, allowing the striker to freely move into the breech face. When the lock lever is not engaged by the safety lever, an internal tab will physically prevent the striker from releasing into the breech face. When the gun fires, the striker reset spring will push the striker back into a locked position for the next trigger pull. It's possible that after installing a new trigger or making another modification, that you inadvertently altered the trigger's system to simulate it being pulled back too far, therefore disengaging the internal safety. To test if that happened, the only tool you need is a pin punch or another long stem tool. Begin by locking back the slide and then push on the extractor spring guide to remove the slide cap from the rear of the slide and expose the striker. Slowly release the slide and manually guide it back into battery. The striker is going to catch the sear and the housing will pull itself out of the slide a little. Now compress the striker spring by forcing the housing inwards and stop when the housing is aligned with the striker's body. Now pull the trigger and the striker will release. Let go of the trigger and check to make sure that the striker's leg is not resting on the second sear ledge. It should be in front of it. Now gently push the back of the striker body and you're going to feel a slight click. Insert your tool and push in the striker's body. There should be a small amount of give when you apply force. Push and hold the striker in, and with your other hand you can pull the trigger. If the striker drops quickly, that means that your internal safety was engaged at least partially. Now, if you want to test this again, simply push in the striker housing, you will feel the slight click again, and insert your tool and pull the trigger like you just did. Now, if you follow all of these steps and you pull the trigger and nothing happens, however, you can still feel the striker spring compressing and decompressing, there is a chance that the safety is being disengaged within the firearm. You can take a closer look by removing the recoil spring and the barrel, putting the gun back together, and then while firmly gripping the muzzle end of the gun, put the slide into battery. Then use your tool to push in the striker. If you can see the striker protruding from the breech face without pulling the trigger, then there's a good chance your internal safety is compromised. If you want a complete in-depth analysis and explanation of the striker safety disengagement parameters for the P320, click on the card at the top of the screen.